at him again, man. As I promised, I got the one and only man, the OG, Big Unique Nigga Audio, man. What it do, Chan?
I'm good, son. I'm good. I'm good. You?
What's up, man? Listen, the V Mob family, man, been anticipating this interview for so long, so I'm glad you took some time out of your day to come over here and tap in with the nephew, man. Support.
Oh, all the time. You know, we've been dealing a long time. We got a couple of years under our belt. Remember, I'm the
Let's
one that
work it.
pushed you to. I pushed you to start the YouTube channel.
No
You
question,
know,
no question.
let's get
And
that.
every
Let's talk
time I
about
call,
that.
man, every time I picked up the phone, you definitely answered, man. So I salute to that.
And tell them how
So,
we met, so they know I answer my phone.
listen, I started the YouTube right December 2nd, 2023. So I was already watching OG for a long time. That's what actually kind of motivated me. Him and a couple of other good men pushed me to do it. So now when I start, I'm like, shit, man, I wonder if he gonna hit me back. I end up reaching out to him. He hit me straight back, no problem. Told me everything I needed to do to get up and running. I've been putting in the work since then. And every time I need him, man, as you can see, he right here live on the V-Mob, man. So I'm grateful and thankful for that. You hear me?
Word. Now, you're most definitely welcome, man, because you took the game and ran with it, and I'm proud of what you did, you know?
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's get
So,
back to the interview. I just had to give you your flowers while you were still alive. That's all.
no
I
question, no
love what you're
question.
doing. All right.
So let's take it from the very beginning, man. Where are you from for those that don't know?
I'm from Kingston, Jamaica.
Okay, what was it like growing up there?
Rough. You know, it was during a political time when, you know, you live very, very, very poor, or you live very, very, very poor. So the politicians came in and they made promises to build up certain areas if you voted for them, and then they gave out jobs to the men in the area to do the actual work. And you know, it was so lucrative that it caused a lot of murders, man, because you got killed for putting the vote in the wrong ballot box, type of thing. So, growing up down there with no shoes on, just running free, like you don't know what happiness is because you think you already happy just the way you are, because we train to make the best out of any situation, Go ahead, Pat.
Absolutely. And it's crazy that you say that because as I when I first started watching you, I used to always hear you talk about buck your toe. I used to always hear
Yeah.
you say about buck your toe on the sidewalk, coming up with no shoes and you not
Mm.
receiving your first pair of shoes until you got off the plane in America. That was always something that was, that stood out to me. So that was crazy. And then I used to always hear you talk about the one pops.
Yeah, the one pop. Yeah.
Mhm.
They
So
said I wanted to build one of them in Lewisburg, but just so you and everyone else understand, when we said buck your tour, it's the same thing like you trip. You walking and you trip with a pair of shoes on, and you
yeah.
just keep moving, and you get a scuff on your on that shoe. But
Hmm.
when you don't have no shoe, it rips off the skin in the concrete, in the hot concrete,
God damn.
So, that's bucking your toe. Bucking your toe is when you trip, but you ain't got no shoes on. And now instead of bucking, like hitting the front of your sneaker, you hit your toe on that concrete like that, you know?
So growing up there, because even me, I don't understand. Or when I see it on TV, when you growing up there, is it actual houses or you guys living in huts? Like, do y'all got beds? Is it a upstairs, a downstairs, or one little village? Like, what is the actual housing like down there?
Nah. I mean, back then, back during my time, it wasn't none of that. It was just little shanty huts, they called them.
Right, the
Like some
huts.
little wooden houses they put together, 4 rooms, 4 walls. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And you live in there with your whole family, you're struggling, but you got love and you learn loyalty, and honor where you honor the elders in the neighborhood. So these are the things that you taught in that environment, which was good for the beginning stages, but I should have guided it better, or should have been guided to guide it better, when I was younger, you know.
Absolutely. Okay, so did you indulge in crime down there? You know what I mean? Like, is that where your crime life started at down there, or
Nah,
was it more
nah,
so when you
nah,
came to
nah.
America?
I was only 7 years old down there. You know what I mean? I
Okay.
came up when I was 7, going on 8. Came up on January 15th, 1972, and my 8th birthday was May 8th, 1972. So everything started from just seeing crime up here, and crime became the norm because everyone covered up the crime and accepted the crimes that everyone was doing. Like everyone knew everyone was breaking the law, whether they were selling drugs, writing credit cards, prostitution, gambling, bootlegging. Everybody knew where the bootlegger was, but nobody called the police and said, hey, they bootlegging. You understand what I'm saying? They went to the bootlegger and it was part of the community. So you start believing from a young age that this is the norm, and the outside that think differently, that's the abnorm, you know? And then when you grow up, go ahead.
And a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, because then when you grow up, then you more understand what, you know, what went on and what's going on, and that now it becomes lucrative and you get to see the fruits of your labor, where when you was a kid, you know, you got over on something to get a couple of candy bars or go, you know, a model car. During my era, that was the big, you know, money, little $5 for a model car, and you good. Because you got to remember, a real car back then, you know, was only like $3,500 for like a Grand Prix. 3,500 brand new out the dealer. We talking about when the economy wasn't like it is now. But I watched all that grow, and from watching it, and you know, like I said, you a kid, you seeing these crimes, and you start picking up the ones you like, and you know, you start being around people that's like-minded, committing those crimes, and then now you become, you know, that type of criminal. And then when, that's why they used to say back in my time that, you know, you don't want to send a young person to jail, because it's like sending them to college, because now he's going to go in jail and he's going to be around people that got all kinds of, you know, different crimes that they committed, that mastered these crimes. And now they're going to come out even more of a criminal, because their mind has been more opened up criminal mindedly, you know, from being
and now
in
you
prison.
Come home more sharper.
Yeah, but that's the point, that you go into college, you know, you come out ready to be a professional criminal. Like you come out to be a professional, you know, electrician, whatever, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what was it like? What was it like growing up with a brother like Peter, man? What was it like? What was the relationship that you had with your big brother? Did you always look up to him like, man, this is my go-to guy right here? Like, if I ain't trying to be nothing, I'm trying to be like my big brother. Or what was that relationship like?
No. Peter's only like 6 months older than me. Peter was born in March 13, 1963, and then I was born in May 14. You know what I mean?
So y'all right behind each other. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then I grew up in, like, you know, I grew up in Kingston, which is like New York City, and he grew up in St. Mary, which was, you know, like Alabama. So I was always a little faster, even though I was a year younger. And, you know, so it was more like I was the big brother for people that know us, know how I move, because I always felt like
he was more advanced.
Yeah, but and yeah, most definitely. That's a good way to say it. But, you know, it's not even about, you know, I don't like to talk about, like, people try and say, oh, I'm here, I'm there. Nah, we'll never get to the ultimate level, because knowledge is infinite, you know?
For sure.
So where we at now, there's a level higher than that, there's a level higher than that, there's a level higher than that, you know? And
I
there's a level
always
higher
tell
than
people,
that.
and I always tell people, it's nothing wrong with that, because I never want to be the smartest person in the room. And like me, I always been the youngest out of my crew, and I never dated nobody my age. They were always older than me. So I always developed the mindset of I'm a little more advanced, because stuff that people were going through at my age, I had already done. I had already been through. So I had already understood that. So I looked at it like, damn, I'm a little more advanced. Or people that I looked up to, I understood that they were more advanced. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, but once you understand it, that's where it begins.
True.
Because if you understand who you are, then you'll understand who the next person is. But if you don't understand who you are, know who you are, much as if you don't love yourself, you can't love nobody else. You may show love different. Like me, you know, I like to consider myself heartless. You understand? But I got a heart. You know,
sure.
I expose it to certain places and certain people, you know, that I choose to expose it to, because we know that we have no control of the heart. You understand? The heart gonna love who choose to love. That's why 9 times out of 10 we love bum frauds. You know how that is. But you know, go ahead, family.
So growing up, boom. So you go through the Kingston situation. You coming to America. What's that like? What is that like for you? Walk me through that. Even though I know the story, some of my fan base might not know it.
Yeah, you know, coming up, you know.